Alright, ride with me, let's have a talk. I would say I am currently in a state of worry, concern, fear, all the above. And yeah, I know I'm in good company because a lot of people are currently freaking out about a lot of the same things. I can't speak to everybody's situation, only to my own really. So let's sort of set the scene for this. As some of you might know, I recently filed for disability and subsequently got rejected. I've talked a bit about why, I've got entire videos about that whole thing, but regardless of all that, a denial is still a denial. There is nothing I can do besides try to appeal, and because of things that happened earlier in the week with this big bullshit bill, I'm starting to think there is just no reason for me to do so. And the reason for that is I do not have the luxury of waiting through the appeals process. This new work requirement that will be instituted for everything from SNAP to Medicaid is going to assume that I am able-bodied enough because working with accommodation is still able to work. A lot of people are going to have the same issue, and it's probably going to be a bloodbath all over the country. Had this bullshit bill not passed, I would have had another year and a half to figure things out, because California had a moratorium on work requirements until 2027, and this will probably revoke that. So like most people in this situation, I am trying to figure out just what the hell I am going to do about it. I've given it a lot of thought, and because a lot of the jobs where I live will just not work for me, what I've ultimately decided on is taking Google's AI certification courses over the summer and seeing if I can work from home as an LLM trainer. Considering I have experience working with V2, I figure this is pretty damn fitting for me. Not to mention that, given the rapid expansion of LLM tech, they are going to need a metric ass ton of additional training data to avoid the inevitable brain drain that keeps happening when AIs try to train on themselves. What I'm saying is there is a definitive market for this, and it's probably the only real option that I have at this point. And the thing is, this work requirement, as far as I've read on it, it is either 20 hours a week or an equivalent of $220 per week. I'll have to do my own documentation, as whatever company I work for is probably just gonna wing it in terms of their record keeping. All of this stuff is just, you know. But ultimately, if I can make between $900 and $1,600 a month, I'll keep my assistance and life will continue to go on. Though, what will this mean for the channel? I would say the good news is I already have most of 2025's videos done. Stuff is in the queue all the way to December. And there's like one series in the fall that I still need to put together. I plan to work on 2026 stuff starting in September, but I already predict that my video schedule will be scaled down considerably from here on out, which may just be for the best because clearly I do not fit in here on YouTube. I am just a bit frustrated by everything in the art and content space right now. People really hate AI, and most of the time, it is not your damn business. But this AI hate is so intense for some people that they are willing to completely fuck up their own lives due to their hatred of it. And that is certainly not helping my own frustration. I don't normally call people out, but this example really stuck with me. On my YouTube feed the other day, there was this video from another trans VTuber. This person seemed to be doing well enough for herself, but she went on to create a video asking for help. I had watched about 5 minutes of it before I shut it off because it actually pissed me off in a lot of ways. This person lives in a very conservative area. Again, so do I. She is not able to transition because of her family. I, meanwhile, did it in spite of my family, and they eventually got over it. And this individual pointed out that people in her real-life community also found out about her desire to transition and had begun harassing her for it. I empathize with all this because, again, lived experience. I've had harassment, I've had threats, it ain't fun, it really fucks with your mental health. And if that were it, I probably would have been on her side. But here's where things kind of get messed up. She explains to her audience that she originally went to university and got a bachelor's in computer science. This means she either had the money or the financial assistance to do all 4 years of a university program. She then goes on to say that she will never use it, adamant that she will never take a comp sci job because of her hatred of AI. And then going into the typical help me move, help me get away from all this type of e-begging that the internet is known for. I shut the video off and basically told YouTube to never recommend her videos to me again. I am going to ruffle a ton of feathers when I say this, but this community that I am supposed to be part of, mind you, seems to in no way understand the concept of self-preservation. And while this is far from the only example, this one was certainly the most scathing that I have seen in quite a while. I want y'all to consider the following. This individual has both the skills and the certification necessary to take an official seat at the AI negotiating table and advocate for a more ethical usage of the technology. She has the ability to engage with others in the field and advocate for other people who may feel like they don't have the necessary backing to assert their own positions on the subject. Yet she is choosing, of her own will, to not do that because she would rather the technology just disappear or something, knowing full well that is not going to happen. She is literally doing the equivalent of going to Jurassic Park, holding out your right hand, and yelling, "Dinosaurs, stop!" It's fucking bullshit. And it is a colossal waste of all the resources which were spent in getting her an education. I have talked about my own educational experiences on this channel. How I went to university for 1 year, ran out of money, had no choice but to drop out, and then had to pay my own way through community college twice. I would have loved to have the opportunity to get a 4-year degree. The most I was able to do was a 2-year degree and then a drafting certificate on top of that. I have tried to make use of those skills in literally any way I possibly can so that they wouldn't go to waste. It downright infuriates me to see what I am seeing in this scenario. I have a saying that I tend to cling to. Life is about embracing an acceptable degree of risk. In choosing to transition at 18, I had to risk a hell of a lot. Harassment across multiple jobs, people threatening my life, doctors who mistreated and gaslit me about health issues not even related to being trans. I could literally go on. And yet, in all that time, I still tried my damnedest to advocate for the things that I believed in, making my positions heard in various community meetings and standing up for other people who were also marginalized. If this individual seriously wanted to be authentic to herself, then she would do everything in her power to make that happen, even those things which would make her feel downright uncomfortable or afraid. She would take those risks because not doing so is just wasting your life away. Yet she would rather waste her life away. And to really bring this bullshit home, I sincerely do not believe that the e-begging is going to do her any good in the long run. Did people donate to her after she posted the video? Yes, quite a few people did. But if she has no plan on how to apply that money to a long-term exit strategy, then it's just gonna go to general day-to-day expenses. It will eventually run out and she'll be right back to e-begging, which is something I see all the time in this community. And it just boggles my brain. Now, before anyone asks, no, I am not going to name drop this individual. She doesn't need the scrutiny. She doesn't even know I exist. She will likely never see this video, and that's fine. But I am frustrated, hell, livid at all this because it is just so against how I try to live my own life. Because look at what all I'm dealing with. While I was fortunate enough to have Medicaid during all the major health problems of the last few years, that doesn't mean I won't continue to have them. My most recent emergency room visit was literally early June, literally a month ago. And while I do try to keep my general expenses to a minimum, the loss of SNAP would be a huge issue for me because, remember, can't have gluten, need a special diet. Yet even with all that in mind, I just cannot see myself begging for money without having something to offer in return. I just can't do it. Don't get me wrong, I do still believe in things like the bare minimum standard. I do believe that things like food, housing, and healthcare should be fundamental human rights, and that this country does need a universal basic income. But here's the irony. When the government has said, no, we're not gonna do this, do you know who it was who stepped in? Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI. Yes, the AI tech bros want to create a universal basic income for all the jobs they worry AI is about to replace. So it is something I would eventually want to see become a reality, even if all of the anti-AI people are too ignorant to realize that's the end goal. But again, until that happens, I just can't ask for money without offering something in return. This is why I'm so adamant about the 11 Labs thing, about letting y'all have access to V2 if you want to do so, because that does have the potential to help me financially. But it's optional, and my Ko-Fi is optional too. I'm not gonna put a gun to your head and say, hey, you need to donate money to me, nor am I gonna waste your time with a sob story. Things simply are what they are, and that's just how it is. But yeah, I really am wondering if this whole LLM training thing will allow me to sustain myself, at least for a little longer. I have no idea if it will, and my channel still has to be a fallback in case it doesn't. I guess that's it for now. I don't really know what else to say. If y'all are going through similar shit right now with all the macro level craziness going on, I am curious how y'all plan to deal with it. So feel free to let me know if you want. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in a future video.